Hi everyone, I hope you had a very Merry Christmas and I hope you have a Happy New Year. I'm sorry I sort of pretty much disappeared into nothingness. Work got really crazy, but I'll go into more on that on Friday's video where I do my bookish New Year's resolutions. So today I am here to do my top 10 books that I read, not necessarily were published, although many were, but books that I read in 2015. And 2015 has been a wonderful, wonderful reading year for me. I've never read over 100 books before and I feel so proud of myself. And not only that, but I read so many amazing books too, and it was quite difficult sort of narrowing this list down. I didn't really want to do 15, although I would have done if I could have found 15 that I agreed upon. I was stuck at around the 13, 14 mark. So I chopped down a few and got this final 10. Coming in at number 10, we have The Defence by Steve Kavanagh. And I got this as an ARC for a Goodreads giveaway, and this one really entertains me because on this cover we've got Meet Eddie Flynn, lawyer, husband and father. Is this the man you want defending you? And then if you turn it over, you have another cover where it says Meet Eddie Flynn, con artist, liar and drunk. And this was such a fantastic read. I read this towards the beginning of the year, and it's a crime mystery thriller about a guy named Eddie Flynn who is a lawyer but sort of not been active for a while. He's got a lot of personal issues. This mafia guy kidnaps him and makes him wear like a sort of bomb belt, and he has to somehow get through the scanners, and it's just a really exciting, gripping read. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I don't feel like this book's getting as much attention as it deserves. I noticed on Goodreads earlier that it's still not got that many reviews, and I don't know why, because it's fantastic. If you enjoy a good thriller, if you enjoy a good crime, mystery, gangstery kind of thing, then pick this one up. At number 9, I have Confessions of a Queen Bee by Krista McHugh, and I'm currently reading the third book in this trilogy. It's a YA contemporary romance kind of trilogy, and it focuses on a girl named Lexi or Alexis and her sort of experiences in high school being the queen bitch. And she really is quite a piece of work at times, but it's all sort of quite an act, and you learn that it's really not quite who she is and it's all a front. But she has a blog, and on that blog she names and shames people for the slightest thing, and everyone ends up in such a massive like mess because of her, and people end up in all sorts of experiences. And also this is just a story of her having to work with a guy who she fancies in class and who she ends up with a bit of a crush on, who doesn't. He is described as the sort of guy in school that everyone wants. And yeah, I didn't expect to enjoy that book half as much as I did, but by the time I finished it, which didn't take me long, I just flew straight through it. I was desperate to read the second, and now I am flying my way through the third. It's fantastic. Coming in at number 8, The Bones of You by Debbie Howells. And this book, again, I got from a Goodreads giveaway, and this one reminds me very much of The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. It's got a very similar sort of feel to it, very similar sort of storyline, but in my opinion this one was actually done a lot better, and I was really surprised by this, and I absolutely loved it. And I will quickly mention all these books in this top 10. I gave them all 5 stars. This one again is a mystery thriller, sort of psychological thriller, and I really highly recommend it if you like that sort of thing and you haven't read it yet. It's fabulous, like honestly. I cried so much at this book. Then at number 7 we have City of Glass by Cassandra Clare, and I read all of the Mortal Instruments, in fact every Cassandra Clare book ever this year, and this one was definitely my favourite out of the Mortal Instruments. So much happens in this book. Also, you could happily just read the first 3 books in the Mortal Instruments, and this one ties everything off so nicely. And honestly, this one just can't even come close. Not even City of Heavenly Fire, which is up there somewhere, can touch this one. So much happens in this. There's so much climax. If you're not aware, this is a YA fantasy novel, and oh my goodness, like, read them. On a similar vein, at number 6 I have Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare, and that is the third book in the Infernal Devices trilogy, which in my opinion is a lot better than the Mortal Instruments series. A lot of people tend to agree with that opinion, and a lot of people absolutely adore that series, and I enjoyed all 3 books in that series, but Clockwork Princess, which is the final novel, really just... oh, I don't like using this phrase, but that book gave me all the feels, honestly. Oh my god. Easily easily one of the best fantasy books that I've ever read, and it's got a nice historical fiction sort of tweaked in there with the infernal devices, and I love it. And can I just say, Will Herondale. Then we have the first book I read this year, and that is Divergent by Veronica Roth. And I actually had somehow been living in my own little bubble and didn't know much about this series, and then my boyfriend bought me the trilogy last Christmas. So I started reading it last January and flew through it and absolutely loved it. Honestly, like, I know that this is quite a controversial series for some people, but I loved all three books. And while I don't necessarily agree with the ending of Allegiant, I can understand why it came about. But this one is definitely my favourite of the three. It's got so much action, adventure, excitement. I was on the edge of my seat. I just couldn't stop turning the pages. Like, I literally read this in a couple of days. And I'd love to reread this series, and I can't really justify it yet. Coming in at number 4, I have The Selection by Kira Cass. And that is one that, again, I'd been living in my own sort of little bubble, and I'd managed to avoid somehow picking it up until midway through this year. And I started reading it quite late at night after a kind of crappy shift at work, and I read it all the way through in one sitting until silly o'clock in the morning, and then I couldn't even stop there. So I picked up the second book in the series, The Elite, and just started reading that one straight away too. And honestly, this series has got a lot to answer for in terms of me missing sleep, so it had to get a high position on here. I'm going to be reading the third book very soon, The One, and I'm sure that one will have the same effect on me too. Coming in at number 3, we have The Tea Planter's Wife by Dinah Jeffries, and this one is a historical fiction, and I again got an advanced reader copy for this one from Penguin via NetGalley. I read this one in the summer, not long before it came out, and oh my, it's definitely my favourite historical fiction, definitely of this year, possibly ever. I can't even find the words for this book. It was so amazing. It was heart-wrenching. I cried so unbelievably much. The characters all felt so real. It was so beautifully written. The actual just words on the page were just such a pleasure to read. I couldn't put it down despite its dense and often quite difficult subject matter, and it just blew me away. I did not expect this from this book, and it was fantastic. It's about a young lady from England who marries an Englishman, and he owns a tea plantation in another country somewhere, I can't remember where, and she moves there with him, and it's just about their life together. And there's so many different class differences and cultural differences and racial differences and everything tied together. I can't even tell you the thing that's blowing me away the most about this book, because it would be a massive spoiler, but if you enjoy historical fiction, you absolutely must give this book a go. I've got her next book, which is due out February, March, somewhere around there, to read too, and I'm so looking forward to that because I think it's just going to blow me away again. Coming in at number 2, we have a crime book, and this is Deadly Messengers by Susan May. And this book, for a while, was tying for first place, and it's literally only missed out by the teeniest of little bits. Honestly, it blew me away. It was fantastic. It's a crime, sort of mystery, psychological thriller-y kind of thing, and it's just so good. The author approached me after she'd realised that I'd read You, and she thought that this was similar enough that I might actually enjoy it, and I more than enjoyed it. I thought it was fabulous. So many people have read this book now, but not enough of you. More of you need to read this book. If you enjoy crime, if you enjoy something that's a little bit sick and twisted, because it really is sick and twisted, you need to enjoy sick and twisted to actually pick this book up. But if you like that sort of thing, if you're not scared of that sort of thing, if you don't mind picking that sort of thing up occasionally, there's something a bit different, you need to give this book a go. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. But just remember, like I said, it is a bit gruesome at times. And so obviously in my number 1 slot, I have got You by Caroline Kepnes. And this one was tying with Deadly Messengers for a while, and in the end I only picked this one over Deadly Messengers for no other reason than I read the sequel. I got an advanced reader's copy of the sequel, which is Hidden Bodies, and I finished that one about probably just under a week ago, and it was, oh my goodness, I don't think I didn't think that any book could live up to the first book in this series, yet it has. And yeah, it's totally different. These books are now, in some ways, totally different from each other in setting and in the situation that Jo is in. Yet Jo's character just becomes more and more complex. It's such a joy to read about someone so messed up. And that sounds really bad, but honestly, if this is your sort of thing, and you must remember that this series is, again, very messed up. It takes a special kind of person to read someone this messed up, I think, and definitely a special kind of person to write someone this messed up. And I'm just so excited for any future books that have Jo in, because oh my goodness, oh my goodness. So that is my top 10 books of this year. I can only hope to read half as many amazing books next year, because like I said, this list was not easy to narrow down. I thought it was just amazing. So thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below with what your favourite books of the year were. If you've made a video, link me to it, I'll happily watch it. Subscribe if you haven't done already, and I will see you on Friday with my New Year's resolutions. Bye bye.